an equation where fear is taken out. For as long as you're a human being, again, you're going to have fear. And you have irrational fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. Irrational fear is you in the silence, in the darkness, in the isolation, in the depression, and the secret addictions that you have to go to escape your reality at times psychologically, consciously, and subconsciously. You allow that silence to be filled with that negative voice to say, you're never going to be happy. You're always going to be stuck. It's always going to be an uphill climb. You're never going to be victorious, and you'll never rise victoriously. You are what you are today, and you'll never be anywhere else but where you are, and you'll always feel depressed. You'll always be where you're at. You'll always be addicted and depressed, and all you're going to see is pretty much darkness. And when I was 8 years old, I had a lot of irrational fear. My parents, they had no idea that I was going to be born this way until I was actually born. And all that irrational fear for me was like, man, I'm going to school, and these kids, everyone has arms and legs but me, and no one knows why I was born this way. So when kids come up to me, they ask me, what happened? I just say cigarettes. And my parents believed in this loving God, and I hated that loving God because it didn't make sense as to how would this happen if there was a greater design for my life, if you will. And why me? Have you ever asked that question? Why me? Right? So when people were bullying me, I'm like, why are you picking on me? Like, I could have picked on you and your big nose and your freckled face and your orange hair. I could have picked on you about the shoes that you wear. And I realized that people were judging me for how I looked, and many people were not my friend because of some of their irrational fear. And so when we're in the world of fear and very much a need for our soul and spirit to be found, what does that mean to be found? Where you actually find yourself in the truth of three things. The truth of your value, the truth of your purpose, and the truth of your full potential. I'll say that again. The truth of your value, the truth of your purpose, and the truth of your full potential. Having that irrational fear where those voices saying, you'll always be there, you'll never get married, even if you got married, Nick, you have no arms and legs, you can't even hold your wife's hand. You'll never become a father. What kind of a father are you going to be? You can't even pick up your kids when they're crying. Well, let me show you to the screen a photo of me and my wife. Me and my wife, we met in April 2010, right over there, kind of hair. She's half Japanese, half Mexican. We call that Japsican. It was love at first sight. She looked at me, I looked at her, I couldn't feel my hands. We dated for about, what was it? We dated for 12 months, got engaged. We were engaged for 6 months. I hid the ring in a cream puff, made a tray of cream puffs, right, with the bakery, whatever. And I told the baker to put the ring in one with the white sugar coat one. And so we went on a Santa Barbara sailboat rental, and I had her feed me the cream puff because I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't want help. I didn't want help for someone to put a ring on my wife's finger. No way. You're going to just figure it out. Can you say those words, figure it out?
Figure it out.
I figured it out. That's what my parents always said. Figure it out. Look, Nick, you have no arms, no legs. God didn't give you arms and legs, but He gave you a brain. Use your brain. Be brave. Forget about what other people say about you. Forget about the people who aren't friends with you. Just because you have no arms or legs, you want to know what that means, son? I said, what's that, Dad? He said, why would they be a good friend anyway if they're judging you for how you look? Don't you want to be surrounded with friends who actually love you for who you are and not judge you for how you look? I said, uh-huh. He said, you know how you find friends, son? I said, how's that, Dad? He said, go and be a friend. And he started teaching me at the very beginning. He was like, you can't play the victim card. You just can't. You can't. Where does that get you? You can't complain. Where does it get you? My parents, man, they were so smart. They were so wise. They knew not to give me everything I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it. You know what happens to children when you give them everything they want, when they want, how they want it? Spoiled brats. Not thankful for anything. You know what happens to a person who's not thankful for anything? They're actually never going to reach their full potential in life. Not in the success level that you think I just said that on. What I'm talking about is the epiphany of your full potential is the emotion. Once you have found the truth of your value, once you have found the truth of your purpose, once you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're engaging in life to a point where your job doesn't define you, your success doesn't make you happy, how many zeros after the or before the point, decimal point, doesn't make it anything different. What I realize in my life is the joy. The joy is when I actually am living to my fullest potential, whether I'm successful in the eyes of business or not. And if you don't have an attitude of gratitude and you're not thankful for anything, guess what, honey? You're never going to actually have the life that you've been designed to have. Because it's more than just existing. It is more than just coexisting. It is more than just providing. It is more than just experiencing. It is you understanding the undergird of how you were made as a body, mind, and soul. That has nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with what the world says about you. Nothing to do with anything on the outside as much as what actually is on the inside and what you think of you more than what they think of you. And more than what they actually think of you is more important of what you think they think of you. Are you with me?
Yes.
You know how many stupid hours of wasting of time of what you think they think of you, and you're completely wrong. Stupid. What a waste of time. But when you have the attitude of gratitude and you're thankful for who you are and you know the truth of your value, whether I have arms and legs or not, that's not my disability. My disability is actually going to be handcuffed with the irrational fear. When the conclusions come, you can't. Well, I'm going to tell you, you can. Look at this photo. 4 children. Kiyoshi, he's now 9 years old. You get that photo up on screen? Kiyoshi is 9 years old. Leon's 7 years old. We got those twin girls, Olivia and Ellie, 4.5 years old. I'm the shortest one in the house already. And I didn't need to hold my wife's hand. I need to hold her heart. You don't need hands to hold your wife's heart. You can hold her, but if you're not holding her heart, you ain't holding her. And you can start compromising because she's not giving you intimacy while she wants you to take her on a date. A date to her is like sex for a man. Don't wait for your marriage to be on the rocks for you to get counseling. Go to a marriage counselor. If it's a priority, then do what you can to maintain it. Who buys a car and never services it? Do you service your car? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there's 5 F's for a full life. Number 1, faith, family, friends, finance, fitness, fun. Is that 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have hands. Faith, family, friends, finance, fitness, fun. So what do you do when you have those irrational fears? Well, let me tell you, you've got to address them. How do you address them? How do you do it? Put your hand up if you never have journaled in your life. Put your hand up. Come on, what's wrong with you? What, am I going to beat you with this thing? Go. Put your hand down. Put your hand up if you have journaled. All right, put your hand down. Put your hand up if you stop journaling. Ah. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it true, though, that when you were journaling, it actually helped you psychologically, mentally, and emotionally to actually reflect in a way that actually was therapeutic, that helped you? Looking back in hindsight, shouldn't it be actually a really good tool for you to actually cope with the crazy uncertainties of the last 3 years? Could it be that if we're a little worried for the next 3 years, that maybe you should start doing what again?
Journaling.
Whoa! Listen, I'm a very accomplished young motivational speaker. It took 3,500 stages, 77 countries, 23 presidents, being on television to 1 billion people in China, 1 billion people outside of China. Largest crowd, 800,000 people, with 53 million people watching. I was just in Spain 2 weeks ago on national television. I was with Benjamin Netanyahu 12 weeks ago in Israel, and I'm texting with the President Bolsonaro from Brazil. Do you think I just woke up confident? Do you think I just woke up brave? Do you think I just woke up being the #1 highest paid motivational speaker in the world under age 40? No. You have to first make the decision to be brave and bold, but you're going to get these basics down. Because if you don't get the basics down, you don't have the footings for the foundation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You got to double down, triple down on the foundation. When it gets rough, you double down. You triple down on what you know works for you. Do you think I'm a pretty positive person? Do you think I'm a pretty happy person? Do you think I have a pretty happy marriage? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I am. But I can tell you some stories you won't even believe the crap I've been through since 2019. 2019, 2020, 2021, 3 of the most difficult years of my life. And it was more difficult than when the irrational fear was drowning me as I attempted suicide in my bathtub at age 10, convincing myself I'll never get married, never get a job, always be bullied, always be a burden to people, never have hope, never have value, never have purpose, and there is no full potential. So why don't you just check out? You ever heard that in your head? What do you do with that? 2019, with 14 million social media fans, I'm not worried to tell the world what I think about what is going on in the world. I'm not afraid to be switched off. I'm walking off Facebook for my 40th birthday. I'm actually switching off the page because I'm sick of Facebook. That's my personal decision. I'm switching off Instagram. I'm walking away from 12 million social media fans. You watch, 4th of December, it's my 40th birthday. Boom, click it off. Why? Because I've already been deplatformed. I've already been algorithmed, and I've already been bullied. I got deplatformed off YouTube in 2011. I was the most viral speaker to the youth on YouTube, 2006. 2013, Facebook gave us a letter saying you were the most viral, engaging, organic, growing page in the world. That's because I spoke to 300 million people in 12 months. Does that make me happy? Faith, family, friends, finance, fitness, fun. In that order. But I tell you, even though I'm happy, even though I'm positive, even though marriage is good, even though all this stuff is happening that's good, when you get kicked out of a bank in 2019 in April because they give you a letter and they say, we don't like your belief system, kicked you out of the bank, bad day. Grenade at the house, bad day. Spying drone over my house, bad day. Lawsuit from someone in Ukraine, bad day. An online magazine framing me as anti-LGBTQ, and I lost 300 grand in 8 days. Bad days. $1 million cash lost in the last 3 years. Million cash. Bad years, man. Hard? Yeah, hard. Very hard. I'm a human what? So I have human what?
Feeling.
So guess what I needed? I used to journal, but I just needed to talk to somebody. It's really interesting how there are some times in your life where you actually have to be brave to even heal from the past, to embrace the future. Don't worry, I'll get to the sexy part of brave and bravery soon. What are we doing? The basics. You understand? Counseling. So counselor says, 72 years old, he's heard everything under the sun. I told him everything. He started crying. When your counselor cries, you know it's bad. It felt so freaking amazing. Like, bloody hell, finally. He said, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, thank you. So he said, so how did it make you feel? And then I told him how I felt. And he said, I'm so sorry. I said, thank you. He said, is there anything else you want to say about that? I said, this. He's like, I'm sorry. Is there anything else? No. Okay. What's next? And do you know what that did? Wounds graduate, morph, evolve, transform. Couldn't care less what word you use. From wounds to battle scars. I am battle tested. I'm not worried if there's rain, because it's rained before. I lose $1 million cash over 3 years. I've lost my money back in 2011 as well. You don't know maybe much about me, but man, my dad, he drilled mathematics into me, but first he gave me the basics. Don't let yourself get in the way of you. And when you don't get a miracle sign, be one. Don't play the victim card. You do something. Do something different. Oh, the interest rates are blah, 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 blah. Go talk to someone who was in your business 10 years ago. Were you in the business 10 years ago? What about 1992? Is this the first economic crisis of the world? No. Well, sorry, but is this the last economic crisis in your industry? Good. So then start to believe it. If you now, knowing now what you know now, couldn't care less if I just knew what I knew. Shut up. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shut up. Let's go. With you now knowing that this ain't the last crisis, with you knowing that there are 25,000 people who are dying of starvation today, 70 million children in human trafficking. I just met Dan from Tiny Hope Village down in Texas that built tiny homes for the homeless. I think that's freaking cool. When it's all about me, 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 it gets a little too me-ish. And you're boring. Sometimes. You're annoying. I'm annoying. Ask my wife. But what we gotta understand is you can't play the victim card. You gotta be thankful for what you know. Do what you can with what you have, and don't waste your time on shoulda, coulda, woulda, if I only. Imagine if I was in a corner of a room for my life saying, you know what, I wish I had arms and legs. I wish I had arms and legs. I wish I had arms and legs. Did anybody wake up this morning and say, wow, I'm gonna have a brilliant day today because I got arms and legs? Heck no. Arms and legs? You're gonna get arthritis soon. I don't need that. You get in the way. No, I don't get drunk. But I'll tell you, some of us go to a double or triple shot of whiskey after the day's done. That ain't healthy, that ain't good, and eventually all you're doing is burying your human feelings, which one day will just pop up unexpectedly and make you do or say things that you otherwise would not have done or said. Or the opposite is you completely disengage between your brain and your heart. Both are bad. Get the basics done. Get some help. Talk to somebody. If you don't want to get a counselor, put your hand up if you experience a little depression in the last 2 years. Go. Good. Put your hand down. Here's 3 ways to get out of it. Number 4. Number 1, write down 10 things that you're thankful for. Number 2, listen to me very carefully. No one's ever told you this. Number 2, look at me and then you write it down. So I want you to understand it. Okay? When the crap hits the fan, being thankful for what you have is sometimes, unfortunately, not enough. So you know what I had to do? I had to dig a little deeper. No one told me this. He did. What I did was this. I wrote down the 3 worst days of my life over those 5 years and wondered and pondered and sat and got saturated in that moment without getting emotional, without triggers going. I go back there and think, everyone say think. Think about how it actually could have been worse. Do you know I nearly died in 2016? You don't know that. Nearly bled to death. In a freaking hospital. What's with that? Negligence on the surgery that was given to me. You know what's worse than nearly dying? Guess.
Almost done.
There you go. It's a good day. 2017, I buried my dad. Bad day. Bad day. What could have been worse? That I didn't get to say goodbye? That I didn't make anything up if I needed to say something or him to me? We had that. Could have been worse, no? Grenade at my house. Bad day. Bad day. With a pin. With a pin. Bomb squad FBI. A pin. You know what's worse than finding a grenade in your house? Having it freaking go off. No joke. Picked up by my kid. Can you imagine that? No, they didn't pick it up. The gardener did. But can you imagine if my child did? Do you understand? This is no joke. This is no exaggeration. You get kicked out of a bank. Bad day. So guess what?
Switch banks.
You know what happens when a bank kicks you out? You start your own. Trust me, it didn't come from me. In February 2019, someone said, hey, I'm starting a bank. I said, great. She said, you're the co-founder. I said, no. She said, well, God said yes. I said, well, let him tell me. March 2019, I got kicked out of a bank. True story, man. True story. It's called Pro-Life Bank. Right on the nose, baby. ProLifeBank.com. Compose. Do you get it? You can't play the victor card. You gotta be thankful for what you have. You have, yes, your life. Yes, you have your things, but man, I tell you. Yes, the glasses are the half empty or half full, but it's even more sweeter than that. When your 7-year-old son at the time, Kiyoshi, he comes to me and he's sitting on the floor, and I'm sitting on the floor near the kitchen. My wife came over here, and he says this. He says, "Daddy, I wish you had arms." I said, "Why is that, honey?" He said, "Because then I can feel you hug me." I'm holding back, holding my breath. He says, but that's okay. I said, what? Why? He said, because I'm strong. And I'm going to hug you longer and stronger. Do you know my son, 9 years old, do you know what he calls himself? 1,000-aire. You know any 9-year-old with $1,000 to their name and gave away a different $1,000 that wasn't his name, that he did earn through his business, and he gave it away to the homeless in Dallas? Blankets, jackets, food. That's my boy. Why? Because they don't give him everything he wants, when he wants it, how he wants. He's going to earn his way to it, and he sees generosity in his dad. I didn't tell him to be generous. He sees his dad being generous. I didn't tell him to forgive his enemies. He sees daddy forgiving his enemies and praying for his enemies. Do you understand? Never too late. Never too late. You're alive, you're breathing on your own. You're a world changer. People see what you do. People see what you don't do. People see what you say. Dude, on a bad day, talk about mortgages. When you get kicked out of the bank, you know what happens when you get kicked out of the bank? You know how you got 3 credit bureaus? I checked my credit, guess what? I had 2 dashes. What's a dash? I mean, did they find my fingerprints somewhere? I don't understand. What did I do wrong? It's all about being brave. When you actually tell all the irrational fears to shut up, then you move to the other fear of rational fear. The rational fear, ready? Rational fear of my parents. Will my son go to school? Rational fear, rational question. And the doctor said he's never going to go to school. Why? Because the law was such that her limbless son would not be generally, education system policy-wise, allow her son to be integrated but segregated. But what the doctors did not know was that my mom would be used in the hands of God to change the law.
Oh, wow.
Because she decided between irrational fear and rational fear, and then we said, okay, how do we do this? No one knew what you can do until you try it. You see my foot? No one knew what I could do with this little foot. My foot is amazing. After 2 cups of coffee, 53 words a minute, dude. The doctors, when they saw me, they were crying, they were thinking, oh my goodness, how do we say sorry? We are so sorry, Mrs. Vujicic, that we didn't find this out before in the ultrasounds, that you would be giving birth to a vegetable. He will never walk. Success is on the other side of struggle. It's funny how we are, man. It's funny. Who wants to be more patient? Put your hand up. You want to be more patient? Okay, wait, I forgot to finish the depression, right? So depression, number 1, 10 things that you're thankful for. Number 2, to get out of depression. Write down the 3 worst days of your life in the last 5 years and how it could have gone worse. Yes, you good? Number 3, find a counselor or talk to somebody. What I mean by that is choose 2 friends that you call once every 2 weeks. Not text, call. Hear their voice. They hear yours. You need friends. Do you understand? Number 4, to get out of depression, go and help someone else in need. Amen. Dude, you do those 4 things, you're doing everything you can, apart from prayer, to get out of depression. Can you hear an amen?
Amen.
So, who wants to be patient? Paul? Go, put your hand up. Good. Okay, put it down. Who hates waiting in line? Guess what? The greatest way to exercise patience is being put in a place to wait. I know it's rocket science. Okay? Don't complain when you're waiting. You know what you do in the line? You got a person in front of you and a person behind you. You know what that seems to me like? An opportunity. Maybe for a mortgage. Or maybe just a hello because actually her dad just died. I was just with someone at the store, and how old is she? 16 years old. She tried to OD on Tylenol. Now 40% of the reason for teen suicide is because of a broken home. 40% of teen suicide is because of brokenness in the home, and then 40% at bullying at school. That's why I love talking to kids about bullying. So stop it. Because you save people's lives. You don't know. Could you notice, like if I'm looking at you, do you notice I'm not looking at your nose? I'm not looking at your hair. I'm looking in the eyes. I'm not looking at your shirt. I'm not looking at your biceps. Couldn't care about your biceps. My biceps were so big they fell off. I don't care how you I don't look at your breasts. Look at my wife. She's beautiful. I don't look at your butt. My wife, she's amazing. And I'll tell you right now, when you look at people in the eyes are the windows to your soul. So the people in front of you actually and behind you are souls who actually might be drowning in irrational fear, where actually no one even takes the time to look at them in the eye and say, hi. Hi. Are you with me?
Yes.
You don't know what you can achieve until you try. When you fail, try again. Oh, I'm a failure. Are you kidding me? So if you know you need to wait to grow in patience, isn't it true that you can't have resilience without resistance? What do you want more? A life without resistance? What do you want more for your kids? A smooth life? No. You want them to know the bumps in the road. You know that you need to prepare them for the life ahead, because the world ain't going to give you what you want when you want it. You got to be okay to allow them to experience resistance. Without resistance, there's no resilience. Don't you want to be resilient?
Yes.
Success is on the other side of struggle. You're going to have struggle. Get over it. I'm not belittling your pain. Please, please, I'm not belittling your pain. But I'll tell you, failure is not your status. Failure is your classroom. And in this moment, instead of being afraid of what's ahead, you get ready. I want you to go beyond. I want you to be thinking 15 years from now, 2037. Come with me. Come with me. Ready? 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 2037. We have another crash. It's really difficult. And then he comes back. And then guess what happens in 2037? You remember 15 years ago what you tried to do, what worked and what didn't work. You learned about as much as you could to tweak everything, that you find out that actually there are more different changes on the valves of the consumer in America for mortgages, where there's this thing called added customer value with your values. Trust me. There are more people that are value conscious now. Could be an interesting edge wherein your mortgage company sponsors an internship of 3 foster kids. Could be that 5% of your commission goes to a non-profit that they choose of the 10 that you offer them. There's ways to be creative with how the consumer thinks, changes, and evolves. But you're going to get ready. This is not the time. This is not the time to go home. This is not the time to hang up your gloves. This is the time to learn. Because as much as you want to learn from other people's experiences, the greatest experiences that you'll ever learn are your experiences. And you can't point to your bosses. You can't point to Todd Duncan. You can't point your finger to me. It's you. Why not you find the innovative solution in your industry for what you need to do and achieve possibly? Phenomenal. What if your mortgage company starts thinking about, I don't know, a level of a micro-lending project that's socially responsible to help a pantry be filled with food led by a student body that actually wants to start an entrepreneurship group? Guys, there's ideas. There's things. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I went into stock market at age 16. I went into options trading at age 17. I was making 20% in 14 days. Compounded. You know what compounded means? Monthly 10% per month over a year, over triple money. If you only get a trade right 10% return, compound it. Triple money. Anyone doing triple money? I started doing triple money when I was a teenager. I felt almost guilty because these people are going $12 an hour to a coffee shop and I'm basically printing real money without deflation. I'm printing money. I click a couple buttons with my own little toe and I know exactly what to do because I invested in education. It's exactly why you're here. Because you made a choice to be brave, to actually believe what's being said on here and actually said, you know what, I think I can do that. I think if Carrie can do it, I can do it. Tom can do it, I can do it. Nick can do it, I can do it. That's why we're here. We want you to believe that you actually can do it. And if it's meant to be, you go for it. And you'll achieve it. If it's not meant to be, hey, not everyone's supposed to be exactly this or exactly that. You're going to find your full potential. My drive is that you find your full potential. My drive is that you find happiness. Whether you make another mortgage loan or not, doesn't matter to me. But you've got to have that mindset. Do you understand? You're not in here to retreat. You're here to go, to think, to journal, to talk, to hustle. And you're here to show your kids what happens when things are crap. Put a price tag on that. You think they're going to teach them character at school, resilience at school, financial literacy, investments? I went into real estate at age 19. We're subdividing 130 acres out in East Texas right now. I'm 40 years old. I've just begun. And you know what? You can be confident and be humble. Sincerity and authenticity are those whose head and mind and spirit are in sync. And yes, I am a Christian. I gave my life to Jesus Christ at 15, and I don't know who you are, but I'm going to tell you I love you no matter what. And I believe with all my heart, it ain't a mistake that you're here today. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get out of your depression. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get out of that addiction when you face it, when you confess it, when you go forward and you know that that addiction, that depression, that isolation might be a little bit bigger than your own strength. And you push and you try, and you fail, and you cry, and then eventually, you get back up. And you ride the wave. I want you to be inspired. You don't know what's around the corner till you go around the corner. Don't compare each other's adversities. Don't you dare think that I'm going through something more difficult than you because I have no arms and legs. I think it's worse never having a father in your life than having no limbs. There is no hope in comparing each other's adversities, but there is hope in us together being strong one day at a time. You know what that means? This is more than a conference. You're more than an employee with your company. Your family. When you look at each other, how are you doing? Don't give up. Check on them. How are you doing? And then try and make an impact. I know that my 40-minute clock counted down. I knew I had an hour, but I don't know how many minutes we got left for Q&A. But I wanted to take that extended time just because I feel the room needed a little bit more contents. So I want you to stand up to your feet, and I want you to take a deep breath in. Can the production people show me on the screen if I actually have 0 left? I don't believe it. I think I've got 9 minutes left. I left my wristwatch at home. Military style, sorry, 2 feet on the ground, standing up nice and straight, arms by your side, out loud in a way that I don't have to tell you to say it louder. Repeat after me. I today make a conscious decision to never give up, to love myself, to believe in my future, to do all I can, to be successful, to do all that I can, to make a difference, and to do all that I can, to be the best me, that I can be, for those right next to me.